And so what I think there's a tremendous opportunity for those folks that have served in the military, that have already received some type of IT training, that already have a clearance, with some additional training and additional education around the topic of cybersecurity. They're in the perfect spot to help defend against these attacks. A lot of folks also forget that not only are our financial records under attack, but it's our health care records as well. VA, the Defense Health Agency, Veterans Administration, Health and Human Services under the civilian branch of the federal government. They're constantly under attack. There are tons of breaches. I'll just give you an example. Yes, sir?
Well, just asking, what is the desire there?
Yeah, I'll tell you the desire. So the reason why the healthcare record is a lot more desired by the malicious actors is because if they get a financial record, let's say Target, Home Depot, if they're able to get your financial information, there's typically an expiration date associated with that financial record. Once they get it, they'll go to the dark web meaning one of these malicious sites that a lot of us don't know about, on the bulletin boards, and they will advertise these financial records for anywhere around $25 to $50 a piece. But they have an expiration date, because at some point, either you're going to be aware or the company's going to be aware, and they're going to put a stop on that debit card or credit card or whatever that financial information is. However, healthcare is a completely different animal. Healthcare records, particularly for our young ones, I see a young one in the back, a very young one in the back, they have Social Security records too. I've got 3 kids that don't necessarily check their credit report. Those databases not only hold our information, but they hold the information of our dependents as well. So if a bad guy is able to get a Social Security number of one of our dependents, that record on the street in the dark web can go for $2, $3, $4, even $500 a piece. And because we're not checking those records every day, every week, every month, every year, they're able to get a lot more use out of them. So then by the time your son or your daughter is 18 and they apply for a credit card, guess what? They're in big trouble. So a lot of the credit card companies now, and things that certainly ISC Squared encourages our citizens, is to make sure that not only are you checking the credit reports of yourselves, but also your dependents as well. All the major agencies allow you to do that, just to put in any Social Security number to make sure you're monitoring that. So we talked about forensics being one of the really hot fields in right now. And the reason why it's so hot is because you're going to get breached. There's only 2 types of companies out there and agencies out there today. You've either been breached and you know it, or you've been breached and you don't know it. That's just the bottom line. So the question used to be, let's build a wall and we'll defend, and no one will ever get into our systems. And that's not working anymore. I think we have to assume that they're going to get in, and it's what we do after the fact, how quickly we respond, how quickly we mitigate the threat and eliminate and stop the bad guy in his tracks is the most important thing. Because from a forensics perspective, once the guy gets in, or gal, they can hop around. And they can do that for months. If you remember the Target breach a couple of years ago, the bad guys got in through a vulnerability in the HVAC software. There was a third-party vendor. Target basically said, you guys take care of that piece of software. We really don't want to have anything to do with it. There was no oversight there. The bad guy got in, was able to burrow his way in, and was in the environment for months. And after the forensics guy came in, very well paid on that ad, and did their investigation, they found that there were breadcrumbs in here that you could have picked up on had you known what you were looking for. So a forensics person can not only help you recover from the incident, they can help tell the company or the agency how to prevent it from happening again. And that's a very important aspect. And for those of you out there that are really inquisitive and really detail-oriented, project results-oriented, forensics is great, because usually it's you get in, there's a short-term thing, and you get out. I know there are a lot of folks that they have a shorter attention span, so they like to have those short-term projects. Forensics, penetration testing, red teaming, that kind of stuff, it really, really comes in handy. So that's an important consideration too, as you think about some of the skills that maybe you have. How would they play? We sample on average about 10 to 15,000 people every 2 years, and we ask them, how much do you make? It's an anonymous survey, we're not asking for your name or anything. On average, we have seen the salaries climb. I think the first year we did it, it was about 70,000, then 80, then 90, and now it's six figures. In order to help solve this problem, I think us as an industry we have to do a better job at tapping in to the remote aspect of this. Because you've got a lot of folks that live in very rural areas, in very undeveloped parts of our country that could use a boost, and they could use a really good high-paying job. So if we can tap into that somehow and have them support us remotely and still be able to execute a mission, I know we're having some discussions with some folks, both at NIST and DHS and DOD, to come up with a program to help along. That's going to take some time. We don't have enough of you, because I was one of those that was technical and also needed to be around people and work with people. The reason why we need more of you is because there will always be those types that are in their mother's basement learning the craft and learning the trade and helping us. NSA employs a lot of those types. Where we need the people is that buffer between somebody on your team that's doing that role and then somebody on the other side, your client, your customer, that doesn't understand what cybersecurity means and how that translates to the mission, how that translates into how important it is to protecting my soldiers, to protecting our business, to protecting our data. It's not all about financial loss or loss of life. It could be loss of reputation. We need folks like you to be able to help have that conversation. And to then, because the folks in the closet behind the keyboard, they don't know how to talk like that or listen. 2 ears, one mouth, listen more to talk less. They can't do that. They're not programmed that. So there's absolutely a need for that. It's almost like you're the buffer. You're understanding how cybersecurity is going to help them achieve their mission and protect them and their data. And then you're going to turn around and talk to your keyboard jockeys and say, okay, you guys do X, Y, and Z for me, and that's how we're going to protect these guys. Absolutely. So again, we're partnered with Booz Allen Hamilton. It's our USA Cyber Warrior Scholarship. So on the handout, there's a couple of links on the back that you can go to find out more information. www.isc2.org is our parent website, which talks about everything, including our credentials. Our foundation website is isc2cares.org. So if you go there, that's exactly where you go to find out more information about the Cyber Warrior Scholarship. We are just getting ready to enter our third call for submissions and nominations for our U.S. Cyber Warrior Scholarship. You can find out the details there. But basically, in short, honorable discharge, DD 254. If you do not have a current ISC squared certification, and there are a number of other qualifications as well, you can apply, and we do grant those scholarships throughout the year. Another thing, yes?
Outside of scholarships,
yep.
What are some of the other ways to get into?
Absolutely. So I was actually talking with Bob. We have an annual conference in DC every year. It's called CybersecurGov. It's open for both members and non-members alike. So even if you don't have one of our credentials, we certainly encourage you to attend. There's actually a free portion this year where we're having a career fair. So we're actually advertising that to everybody, including veterans and military. So if you're interested, grab one of my business cards and drop me a note. I can get you some information. But basically, what we're doing is we're partnering with a company to hold both a virtual and in-person career fair, where we're basically putting you in touch with the recruiters that are going to be on site that day that have open jobs right now, and they're looking for people. This is something that we started this year. So it's probably going to be a little small. I'm not anticipating 100 companies there. It's probably only going to be in the single digits. But since this is the first year, I'm really encouraged to kind of see how this take off, and certainly interested in partnering with organizations such as 100 Entrepreneurs and others to help build this in the years coming. Yes?
Private sector jobs or government jobs?
Both.
When do you have dates after that?
May 14th and 15th at the Reagan Center.